The US and Iran have both claimed they have fired at each other's forces in the Strait of Hormuz. Here's what to know. The US military claimed its helicopters had sunk 6 small boats targeting civilian ships as it moved to reopen the strait. It also claimed 2 American-flagged merchant ships had successfully transited the strait on Monday through a passage free of Iranian mines, part of an initiative US President Donald Trump had dubbed Project Freedom, framing the effort as humanitarian. The military also claimed Iran launched multiple cruise missiles, drones and small boats at civilian ships under US protection.
I call it a mini war because that's all they are. They don't have a navy anymore. We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. We hit all new highs, and I said we have to take care of business because we can't let that happen. So we did a little detour, and it's working out very nicely.
The claims of efforts to reopen a channel in the strait were welcomed by ship captains on Monday, but were also viewed with uncertainty.
We haven't received any concrete news so far regarding this transit through Strait of Hormuz, because we are still awaiting confirmation from various maritime authorities and our company office.
Iran claimed it had struck a US Navy vessel near the strait. Iranian state media released this footage, claiming that the Iranian Navy had fired warning shots at US destroyers. The US denied the claims that their vessel had been struck. And the United Arab Emirates said its air defences had engaged 15 missiles and 4 drones fired by Iran, with authorities claiming 1 drone sparked a fire at a key oil facility. It's the first time the key US ally has come under fire since the fragile ceasefire took hold in early April. Tehran did not confirm or deny the attack, but Iran's foreign minister said the US and the UAE should be wary of being dragged back into the quagmire.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. Last 24 hours or so, Iran's fired at us, we fired at Iran. Just going to ask you more directly, is the ceasefire over?
No, the ceasefire is not over. Ultimately, this is a separate and distinct project, and we expected there would be some churn at the beginning, which happened. And we said we would defend and defend aggressively, and we absolutely have. Iran knows that. And ultimately, the president's going to make a decision whether anything were to escalate into a violation of a ceasefire. But certainly we would urge Iran to be prudent in the actions that they take to keep that underneath this threshold. This is about the straits. This is about freedom of navigation. This is about international waterways. This is about free flow of commerce, all the things that happened before, and only Iran is contesting. So the president retains the opportunity and the capabilities, more capabilities than we had at the start of this, to restart major combat operations if necessary. If Iran is not willing to follow through on its side of the bargain or make a deal, then the War Department is postured, locked, loaded, and ready to go. We hope it doesn't have to go in that direction, but Admiral Cooper and our forces are in a 3-point stance and ready to go. Yeah, last question.
A deal is a deal, and we have a deal.
European leaders are scrambling to respond to a new 25% tariff on cars set to go into effect this week, following claims by President Trump that the EU is not living up to its end of a new trade agreement. That framework set auto tariff rates much lower, but it's still under review by the European Parliament.
We are now in the final stages of implementing the remaining tariff commitments. So we want, from this work, mutual gain, cooperation, and reliability.
And while some officials have offered a conciliatory approach, others, like France, are fiercely defending free trade and pushing back on President Trump's accusations.
We are willing to keep on with this deal in good faith, and we hope that everyone is in the same frame of mind.
But over the weekend, the president indicated the new tariff could remain in place for some time as an incentive to move manufacturing to the U.S.
We're going to increase their tariff to 25%. Knowing that if they build their plants in the United States, there is no tariff.
Meanwhile, the Canadian government is responding to the president's 25% tariff on steel and aluminum with a $1.5 billion aid package, hoping to encourage domestic production as both Canada and Mexico acknowledge the tariff could be here to stay, regardless of whether a new trade agreement is signed.
We know it is very difficult to think those tariffs are going to disappear. What we are trying to do is figure out how to reduce them.
The U.S., Mexico, and Canada are facing a July 1st deadline to renew their trade agreement. In Washington, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
So it's been very tricky for Cape authorities. What they have to deal with is a public health event. Of course, they have been thinking about the protection of the population here in Cabo Verde. And then, of course, they've been very careful to also give the needed medical assistance to the patients on board that have symptoms. So in the last 20 hours, they have been with a big medical team, 2 doctors, 1 nurse, and 1 lab specialist on the boat 3 times to assess and give necessary medical assistance on the boat. So that's the solution. And then we are planning a medical evacuation. So from the boat, they will be transported in an ambulance that is waiting offshore, and then to the airport where they will be taken to probably the Netherlands.
The third person is in critical condition but is receiving medical attention. So the laboratory test results of both the second patient who died tested positive of hantavirus, just like the laboratory test of the third patient who's still alive but in critical condition. And the third patient is a British citizen. So he's currently admitted in one of the private facilities in South Africa and receiving medical attention.
In the middle of the ocean and found out that all our flights were canceled.
Thousands of air travelers stranded in recent days after the sudden collapse of Spirit Airlines over the weekend.
Our luggage was prioritized to go to Spirit. Spirit doesn't know where it is. The cruise line doesn't know where it is.
The discount carrier abruptly shut down operations and canceled all flights on Saturday. It is the first major U.S. airline in a quarter century to go out of business due to financial problems. In the wake of Spirit's shutdown, some other airlines have offered capped ticket prices or rescue fares, most around $200, to help stranded Spirit passengers rebook flights. Spirit's employees are also getting hit hard by the airline shutdown.
The hardest part is what are the flight attendants going to do and the other employees, because there's just not enough work for everybody here.
On Monday, former Spirit employees came together in solidarity at a gathering in front of the company's now defunct headquarters in Florida.
You know, it's bittersweet. There's a lot of memories. We had good days, we had bad days, like any other job. But it was that job that I loved. There was no job that compared.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
With Spirit Airlines shut down, a group of other budget carriers is asking for $2.5 billion in government assistance in exchange for potential stakes in the companies. The Association of Value Airlines says carriers like Frontier and Allegiant have been impacted by rising fuel costs because of the war in Iran, adding a relief package is, quote, a necessary and targeted measure to stabilize operations and keep airfares affordable.
The taxpayer, would have an equity stake in the performance of these airlines. And I think that by providing this kind of fuel relief to our carriers, we can ensure that fares remain low and that communities continue to be served in an elevated cost environment.
The $2.5 billion figure is based on the assumption that jet fuel prices remain above $4 per gallon. Airlines for America, which represents United, American, and Delta, argues the bailout would punish bigger carriers who have taken self-help measures to maintain financial stability. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he doesn't think one is necessary right now.
We would be a lender of last resort. If they can find dollars in the private markets, I think that's better for them.
But President Trump has indicated he's open to helping low-cost carriers. His administration was negotiating a bailout of up to $500 million for Spirit, but the two parties never reached a deal.
I'd love to be able to save an airline. I like having a lot of airlines, so it's competitive.
In a court filing Monday, Spirit says it's seeking to sell its aircraft as well as spare engines and parts as part of the liquidation process. In Chicago, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
The collapse of Spirit Airlines likely means higher fares for travelers. The ultra-low-cost carrier long acting as a price floor, forcing bigger airlines to keep tickets cheap. With that competition gone, industry watchers are expecting prices to move higher. Fares already climbing this year as airlines pass along higher fuel costs due to the Iran conflict. The world's largest brewer says sales rose nearly 1%, and the first 3 months of the year, reversing the slump it's been experiencing for nearly 3 years.
That gives it a nice effervescence. It helps you get a good aroma of the beer.
Anheuser-Busch InBev makes Budweiser, Stella Artois, and Corona. Its competitors, Carlsberg and Heineken, both recently reported improving sales. And Meta expanding supervision tools for parents overseeing teen accounts, introducing new AI technology that can visually analyze photos to help estimate a user's age. The company also saying it will begin sending out notification to parents to confirm their child's age across its platform. These tools are already in use on Instagram in the U.S. and now expanding to 27 countries, including to Facebook in the U.S. for the first time. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Hantavirus. It's the rodent-borne illness that killed Gene Hackman's wife, Betsy Arakawa, and is now suspected of causing an outbreak on a cruise ship that's left at least 3 dead and sickened others. Here's what to know about how it spreads, the symptoms, and what to do if you come in contact with it. Hantavirus outbreaks are relatively rare. The World Health Organization says the chances of it spreading directly between people are extremely low, and has only been documented in a South American version, the Andes virus. But some researchers have questioned those reports and whether it actually spreads among humans at all. Hantaviruses are known to spread when people inhale particles from infected rodents' urine, saliva, or droppings.
They spread through the air, so clearing out areas where rats have been, and you spend the dried feces and urine into the air, breathe it in, and that's how you get the infection.
What are the signs someone's been infected? Early symptoms are similar to the flu, including fever, chills, muscle aches, and sometimes headaches. But infections can progress rapidly. That can lead to lung problems such as coughing, shortness of breath, and tightness in the chest, and to kidney problems. About a third of people who develop the respiratory disease can die, according to the CDC, and between 1 and 15% of patients who develop kidney infection. There's no specific treatment or cure for hantavirus infection, but early medical attention is key. The best way to avoid the virus? Minimize contact with rodents and their scat. If you're cleaning an area with rat or mouse droppings, use bleach and wear protection to be safe. And don't sweep or vacuum rodent droppings or nests. Public health experts say this can actually cause tiny droplets containing virus particles to get into the air.
We have a severe shortage in the healthcare space and in physicians.
Assemblymember David Alvarez, who represents the South Bay, authored Assembly Bill 2386, pushing the message healthcare knows no borders. The bill would allow doctors from Mexico to practice in California under a provisional license.
They'll be observed, they'll be supervised.
He says this would help rural and low-income areas immediately and offer the doctors a chance to stay after the program.
Typically what you'll see it is at community clinics is where you typically would see these doctors.
He says the South Bay is in need of more medical centers.
The wait to see a doctor is still too long, and so we need to figure out a way to provide healthcare access to families.
Alvarez says Mexico has a younger workforce California can partner with, and comes as data shows by 2030, California will be short 8,000 family doctors. Dr. Stuart Bussey, president of the Union of American Physicians and Dentists, says speaking in his experience as a family doctor of 43 years, this is a great way to help solve the shortage.
I'm all for something that is properly vetted and that won't cause damage for other people.
As for the requirements, Alvarez says because physicians in Mexico see patients early in their medical career, they would not be required to go through residency, and instead would be under a host doctor in the U.S. with the proper insurance.
That experience helps them alleviate some of the issues that come with the typical residency program, which again is the only part that they would not be fulfilling that every other doctor in California does complete. The practicing physician must be covered by all the insurances that are required by any other doctor.
Mexico federal Congresswoman Ana Erika Santana sent a letter to California leaders urging them to vote yes on this bill.
It's a matter of dignity, not just of health access.
A lot of people really took
costuming art and the exhibit pairing fashion garments with sculpture and pieces of art. They really leaned into the body element of it. So you saw a lot of, kind of like literal interpretations of that. Women that love a corset. We've seen Kim Kardashian do that tonight. Kylie Jenner and Schiaparelli did that. Hailey Bieber in Saint Laurent did that. And then you saw some really interesting interpretations of bodies. I think Beyonce is one that we saw that beautiful skeletal bedazzled look. That was really interesting. Chase Infinity in Tom Brown, kind of with the body print on it, was another interesting look at that. And I think Cardi B in Marc Jacobs was also a really kind of interesting interpretation of the physical form and body con. Eileen Gu with the bubbles coming out of her dress, and then the whole time she was on the carpet there were bubbles kind of raining down throughout the carpet. Heidi Klum took things in a really unexpected direction with her, almost looked like one of her Halloween costumes, inspired by the museum itself. And then Bad Bunny went as an elder gentleman who I think took some people a second to realize who it was. But so very, very different interpretations, very many different directions it went. I think we're still sort of processing this year's carpet. I don't know. It wasn't quite, there weren't as clear of themes or big trends for the night as much as immediately emerging as some other years, maybe.
George Lucas's new museum celebrated May the 4th with the first teaser for its inaugural cinema exhibition, Star Wars in Motion, which will focus on the franchise's various vehicles and vessels. It's one of more than 30 exhibits set for the opening of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, September 22nd in Los Angeles. U.S. moviegoers will recognize some of this year's Cannes Film Festival jury members. Actress Demi Moore, actor Stellan Skarsgård, actress Ruth Negga, and filmmaker Chloe Zhao have been selected for the main competition jury. The 79th Cannes Film Festival begins May 12th.
We got company. Buckle up!
This normal for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Peter Sutherland has one more mission in him. Netflix says the 4th season of The Night Agent, starring Gabriel Basso, will be the last. Series creator Sean Ryan says season 4, now filming in Los Angeles, will complete our story. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
You want to know what makes a hero? It's not destiny.
New challengers approach with Mortal Kombat 2, based on the video game franchise.
Johnny Cage, you have been chosen for Mortal Kombat.
Carl Urban brings popular character Johnny Cage into the story.
It was a lot of fun, and they gave us a lot of runway to play with. And this man here, he does not need much runway to land a ship. He is he lifted everybody's game.
That's not true at all.
You don't have any powers?
Just incredibly handsome.
That sort of chemistry is impossible to manufacture. You just don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Whoa! I really don't feel comfortable hitting a girl.
Don't worry. You won't. We have been friends for a very long time, so it's like, just from the jump, being able to do this with her was like, oh, yes, okay. And then I think that we just had a lot of fun in finding our relationship, like between Jade and Katana, and exploring what that could look like. How far could we take it?
I'm not some champion. I don't have transformer arms.
The cast got to do a good amount of their own stunts.
We do a lot of it. Everything that they will let us do, we do it. And then also we have the most incredible fight choreographers, the most incredible stunt people in the world.
It's showtime.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
More than a decade in the making, Avant Williams fulfilled a promise he made to his grandmother when he was a little boy, to take her to prom.
I come from Iceland, and we don't have prom in Iceland.
Williams and his grandmother enjoyed all the traditions of the big night, including photos, dinner, and dancing.
It's her dream, and then today I just feel like I should make that come true.
tide is high today.
The tide isn't the only thing that could have been high that day. Jacksonville, Florida sheriff's officers responded to a call from the beach where a dog discovered something fishy, a giant bale of marijuana.
Oh yeah, it's definitely weed.
This pooch, who happens to be a retired narcotics canine, alerted his owner to the find. I guess you can take the dog out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the dog. And finally, something special to leave you with this 5th of May, a cat named Cinco. Well, not so much a cat, but a jaguar. And while that might not be tequila it's drinking, the sight is still amazing. Thanks to a hidden trail camera, this video captured the rare beast drinking from a watering hole in southern Arizona. The University of Arizona's Wildcat Research and Conservation Center first spotted Cinco in November near the U.S.-Mexico border. Although these wildcats used to roam freely in the area, this is only the 5th jaguar the group has documented, hence the clever name. The Conservation Center hopes that tracking the animal's movements will help with long-term aid and conservation, showing the animal can still thrive in the area. For Take a Look at This, I'm Cole Higgins.
The sound of history roaring back to life in Bessemer. The B-25 Mitchell made in the shade, touching down. A flying piece of World War II.
This particular one was made in 1944, but what really makes the B-25 stand out in history is the raid on Tokyo with the Doolittle Raiders.
A mission that helped turn the tide of the war and boost morale back home.
And also a huge morale boost to the U.S. population because we just went through Pearl Harbor and the loss of nearly 3,000 men. And
instead of sitting in a museum, this aircraft is still flying.
It's important because seeing in a museum is great, but to hear the engine start, to hear the sound, to see the smoke, it adds a lot to the full experience.
Step inside, and it's like stepping back in time.
It's like a time machine when you walk into that airplane.
Crews say it's not just about the plane, but the people connected to it. Veterans who flew and worked on aircrafts like this.
And then they'll, just reach up and put a hand on the airplane. Then there comes a smile, and then their eyes kind of twinkle and light up, right? And then they start telling stories.
Stories many families are hearing for the first time.
Oftentimes, after they tell their stories, families will then say, Grandpa never talked about that. We've never heard these stories.
And events like this help bring that history to life for a new generation. The B-25 will be on display in Bessemer through May 10th, with tours during the week and flights available on the weekend.
It really was Depeche Mode that got me interested in Route 66 all the way back in 1988 when they covered the old Get Your Kicks on Route 66. It inspired a dream that still living today. And one day, probably around 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago now, the phone rings and I pick up the phone and the lady on the other end says, I represent the United States Postal Service and we're doing a centennial stamp collection for Route 66's 100-year anniversary and we would love to work with you if you're interested. And I said, I absolutely would. I actually fell over onto the floor practically and then came back and said that. I see Route 66 as a living road. It's not a museum piece where it's tucked into glass or got a velvet rope blocking it off. You can step into it, you can experience it, and become part of it. And interstate just doesn't have the appeal that Route 66 has. Interstates are designed to move traffic quickly. They cut through the sides of mountains. They do not follow the contour of the land. On Route 66, you're actually part of the landscape as you move through it. You feel the land as you're traveling. It is just truly amazing to me that these stamps are going to get to travel all over the United States and end up in people's mailboxes. And my goal is I hope they really inspire people to get out there and travel the road, support the mom and pop businesses, and keep Route 66 alive for another 100 years.
I'm here in Bow, New Hampshire on my way to my mailbox with a handwritten letter. That might seem strange nowadays, but it's been something I've been doing ever since I got matched up with a pen pal in New Zealand when we were 13 years old. In the early years, we wrote about school and friends and family, lots of silly teenage girl stuff. But looking back, I can see how valuable it was to connect with someone who was sympathetic and interested in my life. Plus, getting mail was fun. We discovered lots of similar interests over the years. I went into journalism and she went into public relations. And even though our letters decreased once we started using email and social media, we've still been there for each other as adults, watching our own children grow up. We met for the first time in New York about 25 years ago. She and her family later spent a few days in New Hampshire, and I finally made it to New Zealand last month. We both were crying at the airport when I left, and though it may sound odd given how little time we've actually spent together, I've been missing her ever since. The organization that matched us up as pen pals is gone, but others have survived. Some people even say letter writing is making a comeback. I, for one, am not going to stop.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True Crime Warrior Style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
The jury and to find the defendant